never convicted of a felony. Yet. But they keep on trying. It's the nice guys on business. Running a business is hard. Being a business leader is even harder. The nice guys bring in top industry pros to help your business prosper in a tough world. Get real advice from real people to get you real results today. Now it's time for the nice guys on business. Here's your hosts, Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner.
So before we get started today, for those in our podcast community, if you're working on monetization, you guys, you're probably like me, struggling with it in the very beginning. You can't quite figure out the formula. You're going to want to check out our free mini course, From Guest to Gold. It's a free course that we're giving away to those in our community. It's called Guest to Gold. It's an easy to follow 7-module mini course on my favorite subject, of course, monetization. Most podcasters fail to utilize the full potential of their podcast. And in this mini course, I walk you through the concepts and the strategies that have been worth literally millions of dollars for this podcast and the podcast of our clients as well. All right, let's roll. Short format, great content, micro niched, think like a bank. I'm a fan and I am hooked. Sarry Ibrahim, his podcast, Think Like a Bank, is like potato chips. One episode just isn't enough. His show is about a year old, and as of the recording of this episode, he's really working it out, and I love to hear him work it out on the show. He's a financial planner and a member of the Bank on Yourself organization. He helps real estate investors and future forward thinkers grow safe and predictable wealth regardless of market conditions. I'm excited to connect with his business and connect his business to his podcast as well. Welcome, Sarry, to the podcast.
Hi, Doug. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Hey, I'm happy to have you here, man. And I was listening to, I think you're on what episode as of the recording of this, or somewhere close to 50 in your upper 40s, right?
Mm-hmm, correct.
All right. So you've made it past that hump of 12 episodes, and you've kind of outlasted many of the pod faders. Why?
That's what I was told from the beginning. Is that this is a long-term game. It's not like you do 2 episodes and then become a millionaire. And you have to keep going even like when you don't see that many results. Like to be transparent, I'm not like having all these downloads and all these visitors, but that's not going to stop me from continuing to launch the next episode and then find the next host. So I'm going to keep going regardless of those results right now.
So what's interesting, before I hit record on this episode, I always feel very fortunate, or I guess I'm humbled when anybody has ever listened to an episode of anything that I've done, regardless of the fact that we have 1,300 almost episodes on Nice Guys and 60 or some odd on Turnkey. But you mentioned something when you were talking specifically about Turnkey. You were listening to an episode and you said, well, I'll let you fill in the blank. It looks like you're nodding your head, so I'm thinking you know where I'm heading. So why don't you just share a little bit about what your philosophy is and why you've stayed in the game as long as you've had?
Yeah. So to reference that episode you were talking about, you were saying it's not about the download. It's not about the metrics right away. It's more about like the quality of the people listening and what they'll actually do for your business after they listen and then just listening to more episodes. So that's exactly what happened with me. I'm not getting that many downloads or that many visits, but I have a few people that are actually reaching out and they want financial planning. And for those that are familiar with the industry, you only need a few clients really in financial planning to have a lucrative business. You don't need thousands of customers. You're not selling t-shirts, or shoes where you need thousands of customers to break even. You only need a few clients. And that's exactly what happened with my podcast. So I started getting a few clients and then a few referrals. And I was making enough to sustain the podcast and to keep it going. So I'm only on episode 47 now, but I want to keep going to be like you. In the thousands range of episodes.
So connect your business to your podcast. There may be people in our community that may not understand, oh, wait a minute. I have a client that we just took on, and again, financial planner, very similar to you. And he was educating his community and doing a great job of educating his community, but never realized, there's an opportunity here for me to actually sell the services that I have to the people that are listening in my community. So connect your podcast to your business and to your community as well.
Mm-hmm, exactly. Yeah.
Well, okay. So do that for me. So you connect your business to your podcast.
Yeah. So what I'm doing is I find out when I'm talking to people, I do something called a financial analysis. And during the analysis, clients either ask me questions or I'm asking them questions. Like I get to know their financial situation and then I get to know their goals. And then from those conversations, I write down the questions, like common questions that people ask. And then I go and I find hosts that specialize in those areas. Like I'm not a tax or legal professional, but I go on LinkedIn and I find tax and legal professionals, people who have done other podcasts, who have a following, and I bring them on the show. And then I illustrate like, oh, I have this client. Could they do this? Is this tax deductible? Could they qualify for this tax credit? Could they use this for asset protection? These tax and legal questions that I don't know the answer to. And then after we would do the recording, I then send the episode to my email list that I have, as well as on LinkedIn. And then I personally even send it to specific clients like, hey, Mr. Smith, you asked me about, this question. This episode would actually help you out a lot. And then what happens is the clients actually, they appreciate that a lot, number one. And number two, it gives them a clear understanding. Plus, I don't have to keep repeating the same thing over and over again with different people. I just have
you are singing my language, my friend. Just again, as you're listening to this and you're in our turnkey community, whether you're on our email list or you're getting messages through our podcast, listen to what Sarry just said, because he's not just double dipping, he's triple dipping. He's sharing a great piece of content with the community who is getting to know him, like him, trust him, which is a key in financial planning.
Yes.
He's also ingratiating himself, getting closer to the person that he's actually bringing on the show, putting him in the guest seat, sharing their message with the community. So now he's fortifying the relationship with that person that's sitting in the guest seat. And the third thing, the thing that so many people forget is how repetitious is your business? When somebody asks me, hey, how do you launch a podcast, or what equipment do I need, or any of that stuff? Yes, I could spend 20 minutes, 30 minutes explaining that, building the relationship, but I'd much rather build a long-term relationship with that person by connecting them with my community and with my show, sharing with them an episode of a show where I've actually discussed equipment, monetization, guest management, any of those things. So Sarry is actually doing 3 things by having a guest sitting in that chair. And that's just, literally we're within the first 7 minutes of this episode, and you're already delivering gold nuggets of information. Was that your plan when you got started, or did you just have no idea what you were even getting into?
So when I started podcasting, I actually started off as a guest only. So I would reach out to other people, ask them to be on their show. And I did about 150 episodes like that in 1 year. Believe it or not, in 1 year, I did about 150 episodes as a guest speaker. So that got me a lot of practice speaking on a microphone and on Zoom. I still have a lot of work to do. I'm not an expert. I still have a long way to go, but it helped me a lot with practicing speaking. And then it also helped me understand how podcasting works. And then I started my show. But I have a mentor as well who's a podcaster, and he's the one that kind of pushed me and influenced me to do podcasting, because when him and I first started working together, I would say, oh, well, how about we, do Facebook ads, or how about we do Google ads? How about we do YouTube ads? And he kept, every time he kept telling me, you could do whatever you want to do. You're self-employed. You could do anything you want to do, but I recommend you do podcasting. It's helped me grow my business. I have leads coming in, referrals coming in from all types of directions. And he explained it like how you did. It's kind of dynamic. It comes in from different ways. The guest could be a client. The host can be a client. The host can refer somebody. The guest can refer somebody. Somebody else can be listening from the outside. So There's many different ways of growing your business through podcasting.
So the niches are in the riches, or the riches are in the niches, they say, when it comes to podcasting. And, you mentioned it before, if you focus on the downloads, you're going to be focused on the wrong part of the equation. You're focusing on getting more people to listen to your show, which is great. But I'd rather have, as I said 1,000,000 times to my clients and to those in our listening community, I'd rather have 20 listeners that are engaged than 20,000 that do jack shit. And the problem is that most of the time, people as podcasters are going after that larger audience. Let me throw a Facebook ad at it, or let me do this. And I got to tell you, for those in our community, guys, if you're throwing money at Facebook ads to get more people attracted to your show, guess what happens as soon as you stop paying for that ad? Those listeners, for the most part, will go away, because they really are people that, maybe I'll be interested in hearing that. But they bump and they leave. They bump and they leave. You're paying for temporary listeners, and it's not a sustainable method of growing your community. So I just want to share with you, and I want you to share with our community, Sarry, the riches are in the niches. Explain what that means when it comes to your show, because I think you have a highly niched audience when it comes to what you do and who you can sell your services to.
Yeah. So like, for example, when you think of like doctors, right? Like typically who makes more money, a general practitioner or a specialist, and then even further than that, like a specialist of a specialist, like somebody who specializes in one thing in one area typically makes like the most money. And the same is true in business and in marketing, right? The more narrow you can have it, the more specific, the more likely you are to make more money. And it gets a little bit tricky though, because like, for example, I'm a financial planner, but I don't deal with stocks and bonds and mutual funds like a lot of financial planners do. When people hear that, that's what they think of. So I deal with more of something called like the bank on yourself concept, also known as the infinite banking concept. It's a super specific niche, but I need a channel, a way to talk about how it works and why people use it and
Mhm.
how it can help business owners. So that's how I can kind of like funnel it into the podcast. And I hope that answers your question. So look, that's how I'm using the podcast to be super, super niched.
So the interesting part about the niches or the niches,
Yeah.
whatever, whether you're French or you're English, I don't know. If you're listening to this, however you're hearing it, the smaller your audience, we want to narrowcast. I mean, our job is not to go out there like a radio and broadcast messages to a bunch of people. We want to actually narrowcast your message to a smaller, more engaged audience, one that specifically is listening to you. I
Mhm.
love your format because what you've created is a really short bump and go. I can listen for 13 minutes in some cases, maybe a little
Yes.
bit longer, but for the most part, you have a very short format show. What was the intention behind having a short formatted show?
Yeah, I had a client one time and he told me he did coaching sessions in 18 minutes. And I asked him, like, that's kind of usual, like, why 18 minutes? And he's like, and he brought up TED Talks and he's like, how long are those videos? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 minutes exactly. He's like, they're usually around 18 minutes, the actual speaking parts. And it's because, I don't know, studies have shown that people pay attention like up to that point, most people. Beyond that, they start to kind of fade away for the most part. I've listened to podcasts that are over an hour long and I'm fully engaged in them because they're really good, but I wanted my show to be like just like really good content, like long enough to explain a concept, but not be like, too long. So I figured like 20 to like 30 minutes would be like perfect timing. I don't know. What do you think? Like, do you think like 20, 30 minutes is a good range of
God,
podcasting?
it's so hard to say. I'll listen to a podcast like Serial where I'm glued for an hour and I want more and more and more.
Yeah.
And then I'll listen to, we have one of our clients does 8 minutes of motivational hate, and his name is Bucky Hate. So it's not a bad podcast. It's just it's a play on words. And it literally is 8 minutes of him sharing a message. And for that type of message, it's perfect. Look, if you're
Yes.
an engineer and you have an engineering message, it's going to be hard to get that message out in 8 minutes.
Yep.
But if you're a financial planner or an attorney or an accountant that wants to get one specific theory or process or strategy out there to the world, man, an 8 to 13, even 20 minutes, that's perfect. It's enough
Yeah.
for me to listen while I'm commuting, absorb the information. If you go too deep, too quickly, you're going to lose your audience. So nice, shallow information, enough to have them raise their hand and say, hey, Sarry, I want more information. As a matter of fact, this is a great opportunity for you. I want
Mhm.
more information about what you do. Somebody in my audience is going to raise your hand. What is it that because you have a freebie that you're going to give to my audience. So can you give me the pitch on the freebie and then tell my audience why that's the freebie that you're actually going to be giving them?
Exactly. Yeah, Doug. So, like you said, what I do is kind of more like on the engineering side. It's a lot of stuff that goes into it. Too much just for one podcast. So I wrote a book, an ebook. It's about 30 pages long, and I give it away for free just so people don't feel obligated just to find out more information. Like if somebody wants to learn more about what we do, but not necessarily get on a call and schedule a consultation, that's fine. They can go to thinkinglikeabank.com and then download a free ebook. It's like 30 pages long. You can download it for free, check it out. And then when you're ready, if you're ready, you could then reach out to us. And again, there's just so much in my mind and so much things I deal with people. I just kind of put those experiences into the ebook, into a PDF, and then hopefully could provide value to people.
So as it relates to podcasting, and thank you for giving our community a free ebook. And if those of you that are interested in taking advantage of that, I'll also put a link in the show notes so you have it. But it's thinkinglikeabank.com. Did I give them the right email, the right web address?
Yes.
Okay, great. So for those in our community, I'm sorry. So
Yeah.
I was heading down another path here. So tell me something that you wish that you knew before you got started in the podcasting space that you just, you've probably figured out now, but you wish you knew it before you got started.
Yeah, I wish I started sooner. I don't know why I had so much fear starting off. Like I kept my first thought was, I'm not qualified to do podcasting. And I think that it's better to do it, to fail, but feel forward, get better at it, practice. Just like anything else, you're gonna practice, you can get better at it. So I just wish kind of I did it sooner and not really cared about like what people thought about it initially. But kind of a lesson learned is you get better at anything you do over time, you get better at it for sure.
So it's easy with the lesson of I guess you can look back to determine what is something that you wish you knew before you got started. This one might be a little bit more challenging for you to answer because you're right in the mire of it right now.
Mhm.
What's a lesson that you still haven't learned as it relates to podcasting that you wish that you really could just get through right now?
Yeah, that's a good question. So something I wish I
What's something you're still? I mean, I don't mean
yeah.
to say it in a way of struggle,
Yeah.
but sometimes it's easy to do that, and I can reword it if the word struggle doesn't work for you. But what's something when it comes to podcasting that you're still struggling with?
Yeah, so I need to. I mean, I don't know if this is kind of relevant to podcasting, but I want to work more on my like appearance. So, like, I want a better background. Like right now, you see my background now; it's just a wall, and a curtain, So I want to. I'm gonna put like a bookshelf and more things. And that's something I think I need to do. Especially, I think YouTube's algorithm picks up on that. Like, the prettier the
Wow,
background and the
did not.
nicer your image, like the images are, the more likely. Yeah, yeah, you have a really nice background. You got a really cool.
I'm like looking at my background now. I'm like, yeah, I just had a Mustang podcast. And I have another show called Ford Mustang: The Early Years because I have a Ford Mustang podcast, and that entire background. I didn't even change the desktop behind me, but it's this massive screen that JJ, my girlfriend, for those of you in my community, you guys know who JJ is, but Sarry doesn't. I put this 75-inch television set up in my living room to replace a 50-inch, and she's like, that's too fucking big. You gotta take that down. And I'm like, I literally, I didn't tell her this, and God, nobody tell her this. Nobody, she doesn't listen to the show, thank God. I threw out the box. So
Oh,
now, before, I took it out of the box, and I'm like, trash was coming the next day. I'm like, I'm ripping down the box. I'm like, I'm so excited about this. Not even thinking for half a second that she's going to say, that's too big. And as soon as she said that, she said, well, why don't you just send it back? And I'm like, I'm not sending it back. Well, why don't you send it back? Why are you being so stubborn? I'm going to keep it. I dare tell her that I threw out the box, so Walmart's not going to come and pick it up again. So guess what? I have this little tiny studio in my house. It's probably, I don't know, 10 by maybe 12 by 13, something like
mhm.
that. And it's got this big fucking 75-inch television behind, but it looks good, doesn't it?
No, yeah, that's why I mentioned my background because your background looks so good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks.
it's nice. Do you have a Mustang?
I do. I have a 65. It's in
Oh
the
wow.
it's about 30 feet that way in the garage.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if any of your clients are fans of classic Mustangs, but or if you are, but Ford Mustang the earlier. Just go to the mustangpodcast.com. I know Strickland will dog me that I meant that I promoted my show during Sarry's appearance on 3 other podcasts. So anyway, man. So yeah, I think having a nice looking environment
Yes.
probably looks good. And for the love of everything good, if you're listening to this, do not fucking use the green screen option on Zoom. It makes your hair look all crappy, and your shirt's going to disappear, and you're going to raise your hand, and you're going to be an amputee, and all of that. Don't do that. Just get
Yeah.
yourself a background. You could spend probably $100 or less, Sarah, and
Yeah.
get a nice. I even have a buddy of mine who has it's a fake brick wall. It literally is
Yeah.
wallpaper that looks like a brick wall,
Yeah. Yeah.
but that's what he put up behind him.
Yeah. I did a podcast with a guy that did the same thing. He had a brick wall behind him. Obviously, it was fake, but it looked really nice.
Yeah, you can pretty much put anything up behind you, and it will look nice if you light it well, and lighting is key. But
Mhm.
the other thing to remember too is once you introduce yourself to the guest,
Yeah.
and I try to also get my cameras so that it's these are all the tips. You're not here to talk about the tips for podcasting, but it's a cool thing to talk about because I
Yeah.
think a
Yeah.
lot of people are like, well, how do you make sure that this comes across and looking professional? I
Yes.
always put my camera at eye level or above because I don't want to be looking down, meaning somebody's looking up my nose in order to podcast. So if I'm
Yeah.
on a laptop, the laptop should be elevated on a laptop stand.
Uh-huh.
The other thing you do is just get a nice set of lights for less than $100. You can probably get some good LED lighting in
Mhm.
your office so that it's focused on you or faced on you. And if your desk is against a wall, just get
Yeah.
those little ring lights because they seem to work. They seem to
Yeah.
work well as well.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for that. Yeah. I got a ring light, but yeah, still putting everything together.
Yeah, it's just putting it all together.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. There's so many ways technically to put your show together so that it sounds good and feels good. But a podcast generally, for those that are in our listening community, and I know that you have a YouTube channel as well, so I'm
Mhm.
not sure if you simulcast your YouTube and your podcast. Yeah,
Yeah.
you need to have a visual element. For many of us, 99% of us who don't do anything with the video, I don't even record the video in many cases. But I knew
Yeah.
you had a YouTube channel. I'm like, well, maybe we'll just throw this up on on video as well. So
Yeah.
keep it real that way. All right. So you've talked to me about the stuff you wish you knew before you got started. You talked to me about the stuff that you're still working on. All right. Fill in the blank here. In a million years, I never thought podcasting could blank.
Be a full-time business slash job.
All right. Expand.
Yeah, I never thought, like, for example, I grew up, thinking like, you had to go to work, or you had to, if you did, even if you did own a business, you had to physically go places. That was kind of my mentality. I grew up, I was born in 1990, so like kind of my mentality is that like you still have to go places physically, and to think that podcasting, is could be like a source of revenue, a source of leads, a source of clients. It's crazy to believe that and to witness it, firsthand. I think it's crazy also too how like people are quitting jobs and doing YouTube channels and they're doing fine. They're doing great,
Yep. Yep.
they're doing better at that than their actual jobs. Are happier. They have more freedom, more free time. So yeah, that's something I still am kind of like, think it's bizarre, but I'm very thankful for it.
It is an amazing feeling. We've been podcasting now since February of 2015, and I think in February will be your anniversary date for your podcast as well, right? Didn't you start at the end of
March.
February? March?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got it. So, in all of those years, same thing. When I got started podcasting, I think about it, and I had written a book called Nice Guys Finish First. The podcast was going to be a way for me to promote the book. And I was thinking as I look back at $2 per profit and per book, I was wondering how many books I would need to freaking sell in order to make it worth my time. And it was one guy in our audience. His name was Lou Diamond. He reached out, and was still real good friends with Lou. And he reached out and he said, maybe about 2 years into our show, I don't even know how the hell I kept the show going for 2 years, not making a cent. I think it was just out of sheer like stupidity. I just kept the show going. Lou reached out to us and said, "Hey, I love all the stuff that you talk about. I love your philosophy. And Nice Guys Finish First. I like customer service. I really appreciate all that. But that's not why I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you about, can you help me get a podcast going?" That was the first of almost, probably at this point, almost 300 clients.
Mm-hmm.
So at 250 was the last count, but it's got to be well beyond that. The last few months have been ultra good. So 300 clients later, podcasting became that space that we really started to hone in on. So maybe just share in your mind, are you flexible in the event that something happens as a result of opportunity presented to you through your show? Are you flexible to move in a different direction, or are you so focused on what you're doing in the direction that you're going that you can't see yourself potentially even making a right turn or even a yield for something else that comes along?
Yeah, that's a good question, Doug. So I always think about this, and I think about this in the sense of podcasting and in the sense of financial planning. Like I am focused on what I'm doing. I do try to stick to what I'm doing, but I think it depends, right? Like on the opportunities that come my way. Like I kind of have like almost both lanes open, like the lane that I'm in, and as well as something that could potentially happen. Because I guess there's two sides to it, and this is kind of my opinion on going for different opportunities. Like one side of it is you want to stick to what you're doing, you want to have your blinders on, you want to have tunnel vision, but at the same time, you don't want to be so deep into something that you miss out on other opportunities. So I think it's
Yeah,
kind of like a two-sided way.
totally see that. For example, I would imagine that you probably have people that sit in your guest seat, or even from your community, that are very focused on real estate development. I
Yes.
know that one of
Mhm.
the things that you talked about in one of your episodes was real estate development and
Mhm.
how to acquire a business a commercial loan. So
Yes.
I'm thinking, well, the opportunity has got to present itself to you. These guys that are sitting in that guest seat are obviously gurus in the subject matter, and you're in the world of finance. And for you to not even think about that kind of opportunity, and then just think about those of us that are in, for those in the community that have businesses. If you had an accounting
Mhm.
podcast, for example, those people would be great referral sources, or they have good opportunities that come up that are all dealing with numbers. And I would have to think that those kind of opportunities present themselves to you. Almost every episode that you have a pro sitting in that guest seat. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of the reason why I have them on the show, right? It's so that we could potentially do something together in the future, something strategic, something where we are, either a joint venture or a strategic partnership. I know from marketing, that's pretty much the top way, the best way to acquire new clients. It's like saying like I can go and try talking to 500 people, or I can go to an accountant who has 500 clients currently. That's one person I'm talking to access 500 people. It doesn't mean that I'm going to talk to each one of them, but the process, the mentality behind it of talking to influencers and centers of influence, I think that's kind of the direction I wanted to go in marketing wise.
So Sari's show again is called, fill in the blank for me.
Thinking like a bank.
Thinking Like a Bank. It's available on iTunes, our Apple Podcast. God, I don't know why they changed their name. It was so good as iTunes. It's available on Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. We'll make sure we put a link in the show notes so you have access to his show. Also, make sure that you hop onto his website. Again, his website is, fill in the blank for me.
So I have two of them, thinkinglikeabank.com and then finassetprotection.com. But thinkinglikeabank.com is fine. You can, the content is kind of integrated. So thinkinglikeabank.com.
Great. And that'll give you access to the free ebook that he has put together and see if something that he is talking about would make sense for you. Sarry, I really appreciate you sharing your message and your inspiration. And for a guy that was born, so you're 32 years old as of the recording of this, is that right? Mm-hmm. So for a 32-year-old, man, oh man, I just wish I had my shit together when I was 32. I was still changing my diapers at 32. If I could just figure out how to create a career like I have now back when I was 32, by the time I'm 107 right now. So I would be like a freaking billionaire at this point. Hey, congratulations, Sarry. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, Doug. Thank you.
For the Nice Guys on Business, I'm Steve O'Brien. They have listeners in other countries? I didn't think anyone was listening outside of their house. Except maybe their moms.